Peace, family. The other day, I found myself in Henry Ford Hospital. I was visiting a loved one, someone I cared very much about. I noticed that a lot of the women that was coming in attendance was of different nationalities. I got the opportunity to raise this question. I guess it was the head nurse. She was sitting in the hallway behind the desk. And I said, I feel a certain kind of way, knowing that you got somebody that you love very deeply in this state of health. And I don't see a strong contingency of our people here to make sure that her needs are being met respectfully. She said, I understand what you're saying. Excuse me. She said, I understand what you're saying, and there's not a lot of us here. And I said, I see they're building a new establishment across the street. And she said, yes, but a lot of us is not going to go over there either. We're going to be mostly staying right here. And I said, well, let me qualify myself real quick. I say, I'm a content creator. And she was like, what do you talk about? I said, I talk about Black people building their own businesses, industries, and institutions to provide for their own needs and services. An eternal means for us to have ownership and control over our existence. And she said, do you have a plan for healthcare? I said, yes, I do. And I said, as soon as I get home, I have a video I have to do prior to this, but I'm going to do that. And as soon as I do that, I'm going to jump on this. And this is that. Right now, this country is 200, on the verge of being 250 years old. You've had 250 years of improving your process, being more efficient, coordinating your efforts, so that this governing system, which is their sole duty, is to first secure and protect the quality of life of its citizens. That is your number one priority as a system of government. And this country has just elected a pedophile felon for president of the United States. This is not the results that you would think will come about after 250 years of improving your decision, improving the processes of your decision, to now you're going to elect a felon, a pedophile, as a person who was found guilty of housing discrimination against Black people. You're going to elect a person like this to be president of the United States? As I told the lady, the nurse in attendance there, we have to get serious about civil rights. And first of all, what I want my people to think is our rights, freedoms, and privileges. This is something these are inalienable rights. These are rights that we have from birth. These are something that's ordained from God. We do not have to fight for this. What we have to start fighting for is our peace and our prosperity. And the only way that we can guarantee that is having our own independent businesses, industries, and institutions to provide and empower and secure our peace and prosperity. When you look at the private job sector, and Henry Ford Hospital is part of the private job sector. Henry Ford Hospital got to start in automotive industry. Now he's buying hospitals. I think he has an airport. He's not being asked to buy into the establishment. He's building his own independent hospitals. He got his own independent automotive division. He got his own individual airport. But Blacks, we are encouraged to buy into the system. We're not encouraged to buy into our own independent automotive industry, our own independent healthcare industry, our own independent transportation system. We're not encouraged to do that. We're encouraged to buy. We need to stop that. There is enough Black people in this country right now that we can come together and have a minimum contribution monthly going towards directly funding our own independent means to sustain our own existence. Let me ask you a question. When you pay taxes to this government, those taxes should obligate that government to work in your best interest. And we see now today that it does not. And we also need to focus on the fact that the private job sector, whose job is to provide jobs for the people. Has anybody asked what laws monitor their behavior? What laws govern or marginalize their efforts? What holds them accountable to providing the jobs that's going to give us an affordable quality of life, affordable cost of living? What laws governs the private job sector to performing those duties? There is none. The private job sector is a totally private, and they are committed to safeguard their own way of life. They are not obligated to the people. So if the private job sector is not obligated to people, then we are not obligated to work for them. We can build our own independent means to sustain our own existence. This is why I say I have started my own civil rights organization, Citizens of the African Order, which is an LLC, where we can come together and we can build businesses, industries, and institutions that secure our founding principles for this organization. And what is our founding principles? Our right to educate our people, our right to provide for our own health care, our right to manufacture our own goods and services, our rights to grow our own food so we can feed our own people, our right to control our economics so that we can invest in our people, our right to govern our own affairs so we can hold ourselves accountable. Do you know the beauty of building your own businesses and industries in your community? It empowers your community because we can establish the laws that these businesses are governed by, that prioritize our people. We can industrialize the economic, political, judicial means to prioritize our people, to establish our own economic floor, maintain our own livable wages, affordable cost of living. It will give our people purpose, give us a reason to exist. Right now, our people, we work hard, real hard. But in exchange for that, we can't even put a good quality of food on our kitchen table every day. And see, because this happens is because the fact that we don't have no system in this country to compete against the establishment. I had a friend of mine, she was telling me that her mother had 10 children. And she said, y'all better not put me in no home when I get older. She said, because when your father left or whatever happened to him, I raised all 10 of y'all by myself. If one woman can raise 10 children, then why can't 10 children take care of one woman? And you know, see, at the time your mother had these children, this was years ago. And because this system has gone unchecked, it has no competition, no nothing to hold it accountable. Now when your 10 children are the adults and you're the elder, they don't have the economic means, the time, or the resources because they're underpaid, underrespected, underserved to take care of one woman adequately. And see, before in this video, let me say this. I know a lot of people talk about when black people, well, we did build this or we did build that and they tore it down. I don't want you to think about that. I want you to think about, let's say 5 years from now. Let's say 5 years from now, from this point forward, we go here 5 years. We don't think about none of the things that we don't have. We don't think, we just decide we're going to make a change in our lives, and we start contributing a minimum of between $5 and $20 a month. Let's say, because when you look at healthcare, let me look at healthcare real quick. They're going to get rid of the tax subsidies. 14 million people are going to lose their ability to afford healthcare. These 14 million people are going to be spread all across the country. A large part of those people, there's going to be a lot of black people in there as well. In Michigan, Philadelphia, Illinois, Mississippi, wherever. If we got percentages of those people to come together and fund this organization, like I say, between $5 to $20 a month, and we did that for the next 5 years, we could have our own series of clinics and hospitals to provide the needs for our people. We can create jobs for our people. We can offer our people affordable health care. We can prioritize our people when we get there. We can create jobs by building our own farms to feed our people, to make our medicine. We can manufacture. If we can do this for the next 5 years, just imagine the state that black people would be in. Like I said, I know this is difficult for a lot of black people to listen to. I know this is difficult for a lot of black people to believe in. But we have tried everything else. We are paying for a system of government that's unaccountable to the people. We are working for a private job sector that is unaccountable to the people. And we are living the results of those efforts right now today. What else can we do than to build for ourselves? It goes against their economic, social, political interests to pay, hire, and promote black people equally and fairly as they do their own. They are not going to do that. The only way we can prioritize our people, the only way we can guarantee that we get the respect that we deserve is we have to build our own independent businesses and industries, provide for our own internal needs. It's just as simple as that. So, like I said, this is my plan for creating our own. And it's not just creating our own clinics and hospitals. It's about creating our own single payer insurance policy. We're going to be a healthcare provider as well. We're going to have a plan to provide affordable healthcare by creating our own single payer healthcare program. We're going to create jobs doing that. We're going to prioritize our people. We're going to have our own clinics, our own hospitals, and our own community that's hiring our own people to make sure that they get the rights, to get the respect, get the treatment that they deserve. Because like I say, your rights, your freedoms, you are born with that. Your peace and your prosperity, now that's something that you got to work for. And citizens of the African Order, this is where it starts. We didn't try it their way. We didn't try every alternative that was available. And like I said, we're living in the results of it right now. And it is time we start prioritizing ourselves by putting ourselves first. And I'm in this video here. And as always, these are my thoughts, my opinions. I invite you to leave yours in the comments. And I'll see you in my next video. Ashe.